and I'm here with Chairman Omali Yeshitela of the African People's Socialist Party, and we are here today to discuss the forum that will be held on Sunday, December the 7th at the Uhuru House at 4 p.m. As we have witnessed the exoneration of the murderer of Michael Brown, grand jury who looked at the case of Tyrone Lewis in 1996, exonerating his killer. We know that it's a standard policy in this country to exonerate killers of African people. This is a systemic problem, and we felt like it was absolutely necessary to do this forum on December the 7th. We invited several organizations. The organization that confirmed is the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. Jeffrey Copeland, who is the executive director, will be there, as well as Reverend Emmanuel Sykes. And up until Monday, we also had the commitment of Chief Anthony Holloway of the St. Petersburg Police. We believe that it is important to have this discussion about the relationship of the police to the African community, not just in St. Pete, but all over this country. We just saw a grand jury exonerate the cops who murdered Eric Garner, choked him to death. This was video, and while they continue to talk about body cameras and that kind of stuff, that was video, and they still exonerated the killer of Eric Garner. So we are clear that we have to take this discussion in another direction. We believe that community control of the police is the way that we have to move forward if black people are going to ever address this question of our relationship to the police. Community control of the police will allow us to hire, fire, and discipline the police in the African community, and that is our position. On Sunday, there will be other positions put forward, but that is the position of the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement. So with no further ado, I want to introduce the chairman of the African People's Socialist Party, who will be talking a little bit about the forum on Sunday, and he'll also be taking some of your questions. So I want to introduce chairman of the African People's Socialist Party, Chairman Omali Yeshitela.
Thank you. And I want to also, first of all, start off by saying that we had a commitment from the Chief of Police, from Anthony Holloway, to participate in the forum that we're doing on December 7th. And we just learned recently that Anthony Holloway is not going to participate in this forum. And he gave a rather strange explanation for why he's not going to participate in the forum. Initially, after having declared that he is usually too busy on Sunday, his administrative assistant, as a consequence of my insistence, said that he would revisit his schedule and make a determination whether he could be here. He did finally agree to participate with us on the 7th. And obviously this whole question of the relationship of the police to the black community and in this country is a critical question. Since the grand jury unity with the murder of Mike Brown in Ferguson, we've seen more than 160 demonstrations happen throughout this country in response to that. So it's not just a small question, a local question. It's one that has forced the Obama regime to speak to it, that the holder, his guy, Obama's guy in the Justice Department has had to come out and make a statement. In fact, they're doing everything they can now to run and get in front of this question. So it's not a small question, it's a big question. And Anthony Holloway knows that it's a big question, and I assume that's why he initially agreed to be here. But as I mentioned, he offered some very strange explanations, or his office did, for his non-participation. Also, I want to say that in terms of this press conference, there was an assumption of other media forces being here. They said they would be here. But it seems that there is a real serious interest, not only by the establishment here, but too often by sectors of the media, to protect the status quo. And I've learned since Mr. Holloway has said that he will not participate in an open meeting addressing the people in this community, that he's going to have a private, closed-door meetings with some hand-picked forces that he wants to talk to. And they include some people who are notorious in their opposition to the rights of African people, including the head of the so-called police union here he's going to meet with. I'm told that he's going to meet with his own administrative assistant, Sarah Macmillan. She's one of the persons that he's going to be meeting with. He's going to be meeting with Darrell Roussan, who made a fortune as a consequence of sweetheart deals with the city that allowed him to participate in the Sweet Bay supermarket that used to be on 18th Avenue and 22nd Street. Emmanuel Seitz, who was formerly head of the NAACP until the national office disbarred it or disbanded it or shut it down. These are some of the people that he's going to be meeting with, as well as some of the neighborhood association heads who function as cheerleaders for the police department in this city. The fact is that there's a severe problem with the police. As we've said, we've seen not only police murder unarmed 18-year-old Mike Brown in Ferguson, Missouri. Subsequent to that, we've seen the murder of Eric Garson. Before that, we've seen a 12-year-old child gunned down in Cleveland by the police there 2 seconds after getting out their car that killed him. We've seen a young man who was an African man in Ohio in a Walmart supermarket who just picked up a toy BB gun in the Walmart, and the video shows the police coming in and killing him. So, and in this city, there are too many wounded families as a consequence of police murder. And that includes Tyrone Lewis, that includes Marquel McCullough, who was 17 when he was gunned down. That includes so many other people. And then there's a perennial harassment throughout the African community by the police. And Holloway needs to speak to that. He needs to come and speak to the people. He needs to tell Jason Mells why the police have stopped him 22 times for nothing, just driving through the communities. He needs to explain why, under the guise of law, we have SWAT teams, special weapons entities from the police department who are delivering traffic citations in our communities, not something that's happening someplace else. He needs to explain how there is some viable relationship that should exist between this community and the police department. And he doesn't need to have closed-door meetings with hand-picked Negroes to do that. He needs to be able to come before the people and do that. And we invited him to the meeting. I want to just share with you some comments, and I'll give you a copy of this email stream so that people can be clear on how this thing has transpired, because I talked to Chief Holloway on yesterday, and there was a bit of disingenuity attached to that discussion, because he wanted to pretend that it had never actually been consolidated that he would do this, and I want to show the email stream that it was actually consolidated. And then among the other things that was really ridiculous, his administrative assistant initially said when they were doing an about-face about coming to the Uhuru House that there would have been so many people who suddenly wanted to have this discussion that they felt like it was necessary to not do it and talk about how it can be done someplace else at some other time. And obviously that is extraordinarily illogical. If there were a lot of people who wanted to do it, it seems to me that's exactly why he should have shown up at 1245 18th Avenue South to the Uhuru House and to speak to the people, and not just behind closed doors with Darrell Roussan, notorious for his backdoor deals with the government, and his own administrative assistant. I've never heard of anything like that where that would be a part. And then the police union, these are part of the group that he's going to be meeting with. So this is sort of how this email stream goes. I sent this to Sarah McMillan, the administrative assistant of Chief Holloway, on November 24th. I had spoken to her earlier that morning. And Uhuru, Ms. McMillan, this is a follow-up on our discussion this morning regarding participation of Chief Holloway in the December 7th forum at the Uhuru House at 1245 18th Avenue South, St. Petersburg. The title of the forum will be Ferguson, Could or Should It Happen Here? Other invitees include the Tampa Bay Association of Black Journalists, Manuel Sykes, Watson Haynes, Jeffrey Copeland, and Savelle Brown. We think the Ferguson situation, since the ongoing demonstrations following the August 9th police killing of an unarmed African youth, has sharply brought into focus the relationship between the police and the black community, offering an excellent opportunity for an exploration and exchange of views. Please let me know of your availability as expeditiously as possible, as we would like to begin promoting the event right away. Respectfully yours, Omali Yeshitela, Chairman, African People's Socialist Party. On Monday, November 4th, the same day, we got this response from Ms. McMillan. Hello, Omali. Unfortunately, December 7th falls on a Sunday, and his Sundays are a bit tied up for the near future. Do you have another day that Chief Holloway may participate in a forum of this nature? If you would be so kind to provide me a few days, I'm sure we can narrow one down that works for both your and Chief Holloway's calendar. Respectfully, Sarah McMillan. On the 24th, I responded to that. Uhuru, Ms. McMillan, thank you for your prompt response to my inquiry regarding participation of Chief Holloway in our December 7th forum at the Uhuru House at 1244 18th Avenue South here in St. Petersburg. I'm encouraged by your indication of a general willingness of Chief Holloway to participate in the forum dealing with police-black community relations. Our choice of Sunday, December 7th, is based on our tradition of community meetings at the Uhuru House on Sunday afternoons following church hours as a means of accommodating the community. It is my hope that Chief Holloway would review his schedule and attempt to bring his contribution to this sorely needed discussion. In the event this is impossible, perhaps the Chief could recommend participation by another representative of the department. In any event, I want to thank you again for your prompt response to my email. Respectfully yours, Omali Yeshitela. The same day, she sends back, hello Omali, thank you for your reply. I have again spoken with Chief Holloway, who would like to reevaluate his schedule to see if he can make this work. Please advise of the time frame. This meeting will be held on Sunday, December 7th. Thank you, Sarah McMillan. This is Uhuru, Ms. McMillan. Thank you for your expeditious response. All of this is on the 24th. The event is planned for Sunday, December 7th at 1245 18th Avenue South here in St. Petersburg from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. I'm highly appreciative of Chief Holloway's willingness to explore the possibility of adjusting the schedule to accommodate this highly important event. Respectfully yours, Omali Yeshitela. On Tuesday, November 25th, Sarah McMillan sent this email. Hello, Omali. Chief Holloway will be at this event on December 7, 2014 at 4 p.m. Thank you. Also, what is the specific address? You gave me 1245 18th Avenue South in a previous email and 1244 18th Avenue South in this last email. Uhuru, thank you for your response. I apologize for the error in the address. The correct address for the forum is 1245 18th Avenue South. It is a well-known community center familiar to St. Pete police officers as well. We continue to hope the Chief will avail himself of this opportunity to speak to the community and address the issues that have plagued the city and country historically regarding the relationship between police and African people. On Tuesday, December 2nd, a week later, a week after this, they have agreed. I get this. Hello, Mr. Yeshitela. We have received many. I missed Yeshitela now. I've been to Omali up to now.
Yeah. Get ready for the ceremony.
Hello, Mr. Yeshitela. We have received many requests from within as well as other groups, community activists, etc., that would like to be a part of this discussion. For that reason, it will be necessary to reschedule this meeting so that all who wish can participate. We are sure you share the same sentiments in that the community must come together on issues such as these, and all input from various facets of the community are heard and respected. The next step should be to come to a mutually agreed upon location, date, and time. We will then be sure all who are interested are informed of the specifics so they can attend if so inclined. This is Uhuru, Ms. McMillan. First of all, let me say that I'm highly disappointed by the about face by you and the chief concerning his participation in the event he had initially agreed to participate in. Secondly, allow me to apologize if I did or said anything that inferred I was building a police-sponsored event. To the contrary, the event I was asking the chief to participate in is one initiated by the Uhuru Movement for the purpose of addressing one of the critical issues affecting the police and African people in this city and throughout the U.S. We're not opposed to St. Petersburg Police Department or any other group holding an event should they so desire. Everyone, including the chief and the newly discovered activists and groups he is in touch with, had an ample opportunity to hold the event we are calling for. Indeed, if there is such interest, we welcome their attendance on Sunday, December 7th, when the scheduled event would definitely occur, preferably with the participation of the chief. I would be highly appreciative if you would facilitate a phone discussion between the chief and myself so I can convey to him personally the significance of Sunday's meeting and why I think it would be in our best interest to move forward as agreed. I eagerly await your response. Respectfully yours, Omali Yeshitela. Mr. Yeshitela, this is on December 2nd. Please provide a phone number where you can be reached. I did that, sent her the number, and then I heard from Chief Holloway on yesterday, where I expressed to him my disappointment and what I saw as the illogic of the notion that he couldn't come because so many people wanted to have the discussion. He had told me that that I and his administrative assistant have been playing phone tag, and they really never did commit to doing it, which is not the case at all. It's not true. It's a lie. And but he did say that he didn't want to do it because he had a lot of research to do, and he didn't want to come out and speak to people who were going to be wanting answers to different kinds of questions, crime stats, and all of that, etc. So he didn't think it was a good idea to do it. So I told him that he had a misunderstanding of what it was that we were asking for. We were not asking for him to come and talk about crime stats, anything like that. We wanted to talk about the relationship between the police and African community. That's where we wanted him to come to. And I also told him that in terms of not having data and information and research materials available for the meeting, you got more than I got. You've got more than anybody else who's going to be at this meeting would have. So it seems to me that you can do that. Plus, you can bring your entire staff, bring everybody there with the information so it can be shared to the community. He said that instead what he was doing is putting together his own group to meet with. That includes Manuel Sykes, that included Darrell Rousson, the guy who is the assistant to the mayor. That's right, the assistant to the mayor in charge of Negroes, Nikki Capehart, his administrative assistant, some various folk who are from neighborhood associations were going to be there. Then he told me, he said, if I just wanted to come myself and maybe bring a couple of people, he'd be glad to meet with us in his office. So I guess he didn't need to research that much that he couldn't meet behind closed doors. It looked like the research was needed if he was going to speak to the community. And that is extremely problematic because the police in this community, like all around this country, are murderous. They are killing black people, and they're doing it with impunity, and they're brutalizing black people when they're not killing us. They're filling up the prison system in this country with Africans, and they need to explain this relationship, because there's just so much that the people are going to take. And Ferguson is a clear example of that, where since August 9th, up to this very moment, people are still in the streets in struggle because of this relationship between the police and the community. And if Anthony Holloway actually thinks that he can simply have his own little private meeting with his own select group, and what I assume they will do after this is with that group pull together some other kind of meeting that will function as a substitute for a real address to the community, and especially that section of the community that is most affected by what the police are doing. And so if he's doing that, he is simply rocking himself to sleep. because the people definitely are going to demand a different kind of relationship to the police, and that's something that should be manifest all around this country. So I want to say that, and then I wanted to ask this young brother here to come up, Jason Mills. I just want to give this as an example of every day in this community. I could speak to this brother here, except he's on post, because he could tell you how when he was in a car as a passenger just a few months ago, driving to our headquarters, the police stopped him and stopped the car. Asked him if he were driving. Of course, he wasn't driving, he was in the passenger seat, and then said that the driver had actually run a stop sign several blocks away, and that they were going to charge her with running a stop sign, and they were going to charge him because he didn't have a seatbelt on, which was ridiculous, because if they thought he was driving and were wrong about that, how the hell could they say he didn't have a seatbelt on? So it's just an ordinary, everyday kind of harassment and brutality and frame-ups that's resulting in these prisons being filled with black people. That's going to have to be addressed. We're going to have this meeting on Sunday, December 7th. We're going to have a place there for Holloway. We're going to have a place there for all of the other people who have been invited. It's up to Holloway to show or not show. And I think that his stance around this question, his demand that he meet behind closed doors and not come and have an honest discussion with the people on the terms set by the people, his demand that he has to set the terms of how he's going to have a relationship to the community is simply an indication of the relationship that exists, and that it's from top down. It's not just a matter of an errant cop who's doing things out there in the community. So Jason Mills, do you want to just go ahead and tell what's been happening with you?
First off, I live in the city of St. Petersburg all my life since I was born. I've seen the police officers change, and over time I've realized that it's just not the same. I've been stopped over 22 times in this year in different cars, from rental cars to my own personal vehicles, and all the reasons have always been the same: either running a stop sign, or running a red light, or running over the white line at the light or the stop sign. It's just been a pain. I don't know what to do. It's hard to say you want justice or you want to see justice when they're the police. It's hard to get justice when I'm a citizen and I have to answer to a person that's sworn to be honest, sworn to tell the truth, sworn to uphold my life. And you know, it's just like, I feel hopeless. So that's why I'm here today, and I'll be here at every meeting to try to hope and pray for a change.
So that's the reality. So the meeting is on for Sunday, and I think that there's a general interest in the leadership of this government that people do not attend that meeting, that people are not able to come up with an independent conclusion about this relationship. And I think that interest in the leadership of this government has impacted even on how other media are treating this whole question. We've seen some of the media that said they were going to have representatives here in the area, even over here near this sector of this section of the police department, but they have not shown. And I am inclined to believe that part of the reason is that they believe that not being here will impact on the ability of people to come out on Sunday, and will impact on the ability of the people to come to independent conclusions about this relationship, or be able to express their views. And that's the primary thing. And I think that's the thing that Holloway is running from, and the city is running from, that the people who are victimized most by this relationship are not having an ability to openly express their views and talk about what is happening with them and the police department. Holloway and the city government and much of the media cooperating with them are trying to make sure that they can keep the voice of the people from being expressed in terms of the relationship we have with this government. Yeah, so I don't know if there's anything. Yeah.
Can I speak?
Yeah.
Yes, I have to speak on behalf of my affiliation with this brother here. The brother here, the chairman, and Brother Waller. What's that?
Louder.
Louder?
Yeah.
Okay. These two brothers here have been out there on the front line forever. All I'm going to say is very briefly, I'm from Clearwater, and I had the pleasure of working with Holloway there before he became a chief. Urban's All-American Youth Club. I now have Universal Outreach Ministry, an interfaith ministry that works with all the street level individuals, those who are crying out for help. I want to commend this brother openly for doing what I've been saying we need to do, being proactive. And this is what this is. This is a proactive attempt to get the chief and others to come out and support what they're about. But it's the same game that was ran in Clearwater, where they go and pick select Negroes and bring them and have, whenever they want to have a problem, they want to bring some kind of negativity on the Uhuru, they put the Negroes on. That's what's hurting, and that's what's killing our communities, and we're watching our young people die. And this right here is a great start, and I pray that it's the Creator's will that somebody get it. And if the press didn't show up, shame on them. Simple as that.
What is your name?
Ajamu Babalola.
Can you spell that?
Ajamu. I got a card. I'll give you a card. Yeah.
A-J-A-M-U?
A-J-A-M-U.
Thank you.
Yes. And that's all I have to say, but I have much love for these brothers.
Thank you, brother. Yeah.
Did you have something?
Sure. I just wanted to know what specific, if there are any specific policy changes that you'd like to either see or would like to talk about.
Well, I think that most of what's been talked about in terms of policy changes is bogus. Barack Hussein Obama came up with bogus ideas about policy. He's going to spend more than $100 million he wants for body cameras. But if you saw what happened in Staten Island, there were cameras everywhere. If you saw the shooting down of a 12-year-old in Cleveland, it was videoed. If you saw what happened in so many other places, that it's not disputed that the police killed unarmed people, and you can see it happen, so it doesn't result in anything. That's one of the things. They've talked about having police review boards. They have a toothless thing here that they call a police review board. But we're not talking about body cameras or review boards because we don't think that addresses the question. What addresses the question in a very democratic way is that the black community must be in control of the police in our communities. Black community control of the police is the only thing that makes any sense at all. It's democratic. They say that there's a problem because the police doesn't understand the community, doesn't understand the culture, etc. Well, the people in the community understand the community. And the other thing is that we need somebody who is supposed to be protecting us, not to be some outside force that comes in raiding the community on a regular basis, and that's their job. They're not there to help the community, they're there looking for problems in the community. So if we had black community control of the police, it would mean that the people who are in the police would be living in the community itself. It would mean that they share the same problems and aspirations. All the poverty, they want to solve those problems. They don't want to just come and raid people who don't have any resources, any jobs, or the only thing they have is a state of desperation. We're talking about the community being able to hire and fire. If a cop does what these cops are doing, they get fired. Plus, we don't have SWAT teams giving out traffic violations and things like that that's designed simply to criminalize people and to stuff them into prisons. So black community control is the only thing that makes any sense in this context. And it's not a solution, but it's a step toward a solution that helps to deconstruct the relationship that we have with the police. And any honest force can see that it makes sense, unless there's something about the black community that is so distrustful that it cannot be trusted to control its own affairs. And we're saying if they really are interested in a solution, that's the way forward.
Right, yeah, I have heard that a lot of the police force lives outside of the city.
You travel 10, 15, 20 miles in to come to our neighborhood where we live, where we go to sleep, where we wake up, where we eat dinner, where we take our kids to school, where our kids play at. This is where we live at. But they come from outside of our communities into our neighborhood where they live, pardon my French, are all white neighborhoods. And when you see 10 black kids or 10 black boys walking down the neighborhood, that looks a little odd to them, but that's normal to us because that's where we live at. But to them, they call 15 officers to come jump out their car to come see if they're selling drugs. They can't be just playing in their yard having a good time. That's sad.
There's got to be a lot of anxiety every day.
There's anxiety every day, and the police function in our community like Marines in Afghanistan. That's why you have the same situations. That's why you have accidental killings, accidentally bombing weddings, accidentally bombing funerals, accidentally thinking that a phone was a gun, accidentally thinking that keys were a gun, accidentally choking somebody to death, accidentally shooting a 12-year-old child, accidentally shooting somebody in a Walmart who just happens to pick up a BB gun in the store. All these accidents because we're an occupied, colonized community, and colonialism looks the same wherever it exists in the country, in the world. So you can call it by all kinds of names, but you look at the situation we have now. 2.3 million people in prison. If you took the number of Africans and Mexicans in the prison system, Indians, and took them out, the prison population would be halved. And that's the reality we're confronted with. So we're an occupied community. Now, none of this stuff about racism. Racism got nothing to do with it. The fact that white people don't like us got nothing to do with it. The fact that we don't have power to keep white people from doing bad things to us, that's the problem. So we say we have to have community control of the police in our community. And if Holloway was working for us, his ass would be fired, or he'd definitely have to make some different policies. And that's the thing that would keep Holloway and the rest of them honest, that they have to speak and answer to the people in the community.
Make it plain.
That's what it takes. That's what it takes. So that's what we're looking at. You can't just go get some lickspittle who you like, who will do what you want, who will parrot your message and have meetings behind closed doors where collectively you can set up some other kind of process that will not make it necessary for you to come and address the people. That will not work. So it's a new day, and that's the thing that they don't understand. They're crazy. If they think by not showing up, if they think the media is not showing up that the thing is going to go away, they're crazy. In fact, it's festering and it gets deeper and deeper. And I truly believe that while we talk about black community control of the police, that the community and the people have a responsibility and a duty to stop police terror, police killing by any means necessary. And it's what is clear is grand juries won't do it. What is clear is police behavior won't do it. What is clear is Holloway is not going to participate in making it go away. The people are going to have to do it. That's what's going to have to happen. And we're saying that black community control of the police is the only reasonable response in the immediate sense to what it is we're confronted with.
Yeah, just to speak on that, I feel like that's against his own policy. You saying that he won't come speak to us, and he was one of the people that said he wanted his officers to get out and walk and talk and speak to the community. And here's his big opportunity, but he's too busy.
You know, here's what it is. Even this thing they talk about community policing, it is creating a snitch system where the cops get to know everybody. That's still not controlled by the people. To have somebody with a gun on walking through the community wanting to play basketball with starving children whose daddy is probably in prison now anyway, that's not a response. The thing is that what has to happen is the police has to be under the leadership authority of this community. We hire them, we fire them, we discipline them, we establish policies for them, etc. That's the only thing that's going to make any sense. That's democracy. That's democracy. And to have these outsiders invading our community because they function as occupation forces, they come in, they invade our community, they kill people, they harass people, they shuffle off people in prison, they disrupt and destroy our communities in the sense of security in our communities. And mothers, you know, bearing their sons, you know, which is the most ridiculous kind of thing in the world. It's not supportable. So this has to change, that's all. And it's going to change. And Holloway's cringing someplace in the corners of this building, hiding behind the armed forces there, is not going to keep it from changing. It is going to change. And these cowardly police who come in packs in our communities dressed in black and armed to the teeth, they're not going to stop change from happening. It is going to change, and the people will change it here, just like people all around the world are determined to live free. We will be free. And the police will not be able to dominate our communities anymore. That's just got to change. Yeah. So I do thank you for coming out.
Anytime.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
Chairman, I have a question.
Yes.
Straight from the Streets Productions, AJ Ali. Chairman, what is it going to take, or how long is it going to take for the people of America, the people of St. Petersburg, to see that you are one of the most knowledgeable men in this area on this particular subject? How many more killings do we have to have before they start to listen to you and see that we have the proper plan to deal with the problems that we have today?
They listen. Let me tell you this. They listen. In fact, they hear so clearly. That's why the chief is keeping away from this meeting. That's why when we were doing another event where they were firing, the mayor was firing Goliath Davis, and I spoke, this person who is the anchor from Channel 9 told him to cut me off, and accidentally said it to a live mic, cut me off. That guy is a live, what do they say?
Loaded gun.
A loaded gun. You know, they're here. And when the rebellion happened, I'm the one they're going to call.
Hello.
When the rebellion happened, I'm the one they're going to call. They heard and they saw that in 1996 after they murdered Tyrone Lewis. And the problem is, like in every instance, it's like a cancer patient who seems to go into remission and promises that they're going to eat right and they're going to exercise well and they're going to do all this stuff, and then the moment that they seem to be cured, everything that they thought they said they were going to do, they don't no longer do it anymore. They hear. So it's not a matter of them not hearing. They know what it is that they're dealing with here. And it's not just me. It's, as you can see, all over this country, African people are rising up in response to this thing with the police, and it's going to happen in this city too. And Kreisman, who's the Negro new mayor, who's supposedly the Negro friend, who's supposed to be unlike the fellow who just left office, Foster, who presided over the execution of Hydra Lacey in this city, and then came and then destroyed the house. The mayor himself came out, had the house destroyed, and then had the house, the remains, put on trucks and carted away. This is supposed to be a crime scene. They kill him in the house, they come and destroy the house, and then they put it on trucks and cart it away because it was a crime scene and the mayor was the criminal. The problem is that we have this situation and everybody turns a blind eye to it. The media knows the conditions in my community. The media acts like there is a disconnect between having suffered several hundred years of slavery and building this economy, building this country. There's some kind of disconnect to the fact that the same people are now the people who are poor. The same people who were enslaved, the people who were shot down in the streets. That we don't understand it. You know, maybe it's because of crime. Holloway said it's crime and etc. But it wasn't crime that sent white people to Africa to kidnap us and bring us here in the first place. So they're saying, oh, look at all those criminals in Africa, let's go get them. No, we were a free labor force here. And even today, because they can keep our wages so depressed because of the desperation in our communities, etc., it's near free labor, free labor. So we got a situation now where what is it? The minimum wage is what, $7.49 or something like that? 67 cents. It's like since we were captured and brought here, we got a $7.67 raise. That's what it is for black people in this country. We recognize this, and somebody else recognizes this too, and they want to keep the lid on this thing because it's going to blow up in their faces. We're going to be free. We're going to be free. So, Uhuru, thank you so much.
I want to thank everyone for coming out. And we're going to bring the press conference to a close if there are no other questions. So I want to again thank everybody, the community and the press as well. Uhuru.
Uhuru.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.